Listening Dog Media.
The Pod Play with Jack Wood.
Steve, thanks so much for popping down to FC United.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
What keeps it, because this is the second, obviously, Mank-made production play you've done for us. What keeps attracting you back to this?
Well, John's writing, really. Simple as that.
Well, what captures you with John's writing?
It's just like down-to-earth, working-class sort of humour and stories with a nice little bit of fantasy thrown in. Works well for me. And it's nice to bring his words to life, so to speak. And it's a great young cast here today. And of course, Gaz doing the original music, John writing it, Paul producing it. What's not to like, you know? I mean, I think the young cast and all that I thought it was exceptional. And I don't really want to do this because it's taken away from John's work. It's not about me. I think the other cast should be up here answering questions from the audience as well. No, I really do.
We'll get him up in a minute.
You fucking, no, I do. It's a team effort, so, you know, I think we should get the lads up here, and Gaz, are ready. Anyone, you know. Go up, Jack.
We turn this into stars in their eyes.
Hello.
And tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be.
Yes, yeah. All of that jazz.
So again,
Get involved. Steve's just trying to get out of it.
Yeah. Steve's had a few beers, he's worried what he's going to say.
What are you doing here, Trev?
That was mine.
Keaton thinks I've taken his pint. I haven't.
Always the case. So Jack, what brought you into wanting to do this sort of play? So when you read through the script, what attracted you to it?
To be honest with you, I've done one thing with... Oh, it all just went really quiet. That's great. I've done a couple of things with Mank-made before, and I sort of met John and Paul and all of that, and I knew that they had something in the pipeline to do with something gangstery, and I think the Krays are a really interesting part of history.
Did you know much about the Krays before you came
I
to
did,
do
yeah,
this?
because I'm a Cockney myself, so I just... Right,
get back off the stage.
all of that.
Didn't you kill my brother?
Yeah, I did. Funny that. Yeah, I'm actually from Harrogate, so no, I'm joking. I'm not from Harrogate. But yeah, I think they're really interesting. They just sort of, I mean, it's really applicable to now. I was just talking to somebody about that before. Like, obviously, there's so much rubbish going on, and there was back then and there is now, and they just took it into their own hands and said, you know what, screw you lot. We think this is right, and I think whether that was right morally or not, it's just a really interesting part of history, I think.
And was it your option creatively to have to work with legitimate Maltesers? Was that part of the process?
That's a Mank-made thing, you know. There's always seems to be Maltesers on the table. Yeah, it was in my contract. Yeah. I'm only allowed a certain amount an hour, otherwise I get
Yeah, Paul's watching that, isn't he?
Paul's watching, yeah. Oh yeah, Paul's the one that brings the Maltesers. So.
And that's a metaphor for everything as well.
Yes, yeah. Bring the Maltesers and you'll have art is the metaphor, yeah.
So how did you feel doing this on a stage? Like, it's sort of, because obviously you're reading live from a script in front of people. Do you feel under pressure in that sense, or is it easier when there's like an audience there?
What do you reckon?
I would say it was easier, just because obviously you feel like they're there with you and you're getting a bit back, which is why stage is so different, like as an actor, stage, than like TV acting or radio or podcast acting, because you are getting that relationship with the audience, which obviously through a mic normally you wouldn't get. So hearing them laugh and stuff, it kind of takes you on.
So you're feeding off it.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
How did you find that this, because obviously we didn't get to see the read through or any of those bits, how did the performance change from that to what we heard tonight?
Well, the read-through, we were very drunk tonight.
I just sounded like a
Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock. I don't know. I don't think it changed. I don't think it changed massively. I think obviously the more you do something with people in general, obviously I know Keaton quite well, but with sort of Steve and whatnot, I think you sort of become at ease. So there's more room for you to have a little bit of fun and maybe think on your feet instead of sort of kind of pretending. And I think that's a great thing about having the script in front of you as well. Obviously because we had the audience input there, we had a little bit of laughter and people smoking on vapes and whatever.
It's right. It's always nice. There's that little bit more adrenaline. But I mean, if you do a radio play, you know, you're in the studio and it's kind of soulless. So here, just the ambience in the room, it definitely feeds back and helps the performance, I think. And also what I loved about the characters is the contrast between them. You've got these two young lads who are obviously good mates and bounced off each other wonderfully. And then this old kind of has-been gangster who's kind of seen it all, done it
Which
all.
was you?
And, well, yeah, of course it was me. Yeah, but
Did you?
who else is an old daft bastard like? That's my agent's like called Tyler Cunt. They did something, I'm telling you, they just get me. But what I like is about the young characters operate with the old characters. It's two different eras come to pass. They mentioned at some point robbing an old day. My character would never have done that. You know, there was a code.
He would have slit her neck.
Well, no, they only hurt their own. They only hurt their own. But do you know what I mean? There was a code of conduct then between gangsters that, believe it or not, even with the craze, and we say, oh, they only hurt their own. Yeah, they nail your fucking head to the wall, but they only made them a nice cup of tea. But they did have a code.
Yeah.
Whereas today, gangsters and villains, that to me is gone. Now just anything goes. And you can see every day of the week 79-year-old women getting battered for like £2 for a bag of smack or something. And so I think them changes in how gangsters were and how they were perceived to today is a vast ocean of change.
Would you also say that's slightly rose-tinted as well, to look back on it?
There's nothing rose-tinted about it. The violence in gangsters is not good.
No.
But they did have this code where civilians, if you like, were out of bounds. And that, sadly, is not about anymore. It really is dog eat dog.
So it sounds like
it's getting worse.
You've really like sort of read into the background of your character. You've really like embodied that just in that speech. It sounds like something you would have said. Like, but obviously we got introduced to your character a bit more. Did you guys? How do you feel like your characters would?
Do you know what?
Feel like that? How did you imagine your characters like in other scenarios and stuff?
Yeah, I think with regards to sort of our characters, I think we're just sort of a bit pathetic, to be honest, in the script. But I think the message. I mean, I'm not pathetic in real life. I'm hard as nails.
It's called acting, guys.
Yeah. It's called acting. Yeah. No, but I think what's kind of really poignant about that is that, like Steve was saying, with that journey from where we were then to where we are now. Obviously, we had a big old incident at the Arndale sort of recently, and I'd had the script by then. I was sort of thinking about that, and I think the kind of the innocence of the two characters is actually something that people sort of should hear. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing for two kids to want to be criminals is one thing, but for them to be rubbish at it is maybe something that's really interesting for people to hear. And the way that Steve's character and kind of Tommy kind of reacts to them, saying, and the way sort of Steve portrayed it, which was absolutely fantastic, if you don't mind me saying.
Straight on the CV?
Yeah, straight on the CV, yeah. But the way he sort of kind of took pity on them and kind of just really portrayed the fact that they are really harmless I don't think that's a bad thing for people to be hearing right now.
You mentioned the Manchester Arndale attack that happened recently. How did that change how you wanted to play these characters then?
Go on, Keaton.
No,
it didn't really affect me either, to be fair. I think as an actor, you really have to separate yourself from things like that. We had a really interesting experience, me and Keaton, because we trained together. And when it was one day we were doing our Shakespeare duologues or something, and it was when the MEN sort of bombing happened. And our director turned around to us and said, look, it's really important for you to know that obviously you could be sat here thinking, why am I not being an ambulance driver or a policeman or someone that can actually make a difference? And he said, you've got to know that telling these stories is just as important. Otherwise, they'll be forgotten and nobody will ever know about them. So I think it's really important for you to take those things on. And yeah, I suppose subconsciously I would have thought about that. But I mean, in no way, in any sense, was that man going around and attacking innocent people a gangster in my eyes for what I view as a gangster being. So I think didn't really think about it too much, but it is an important thing to
and you have got
about.
criminals like robbing Maltesers from Asda and then stabbing people up in a shopping centre.
Yeah.
It's like,
So the way you were playing it, like what age would you say these characters were in your eyes? Were they sort of?
Yeah, I was just doing it as my
about
age.
Our age, about 22, 23. Well, Keaton's a bit older than me, but yeah.
It's interesting to see so you sort of didn't want to make them younger or anything to seem more innocent. You wanted them to be like.
Nah, because I think tying down naivety to age is a really dangerous. It's a really dangerous area to be in. Do you know what I mean? If someone's stupid, if you call them young, just because someone's stupid and you play them young, I think that's quite that's in fact kind of disrespectful to people that, I mean, me and Keaton, I mean, I'm only 22, but I feel like I've been through enough in my life to sort of be knowledgeable and not sort of that stupid, you know.
So you say, because you said you're not from Manchester, have you sort of, as you've been walking around, did you base any of your traits or any of the way that you sort of held this role?
Yeah.
Did you take that off people you'd seen around, or?
Well, he went to uni in Wigan, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Me and Paul have had various conversations about this.
You're based on Paul?
Yeah, I based it on Paul. Yeah. No, I think being from Manchester is more than just like being born in Manchester, or like Manchester is definitely a way of being, or like a way of life, an attitude, and everybody bangs on. I mean, everybody bangs on about it. But like, I do really get it. And I was saying this the other day. I'm from London. I lived there until I was about 19, but I think I have already more of a connection with this city because it's easier to because there's something to have a connection with other than just, you know, the big smoke and sort of being impersonal. And though the trams are pretty rubbish up here, that is the one thing that I'd have.
Shout out to Metrolink.
Shout out to Metrolink, and I'm not shouting out Northern Rail because they can go away as well. But I don't know. I wouldn't say I'd sort of taken it off of everybody, because I'd say being Manc is something more than just being born in sort of Manchester or whatever.
Do you know what? That's a great way to end the podcast, I'd say. So thanks for your time, and thanks everyone for coming down.
Thank you.
The Pod Play with Jack Wood.